Birthday, by the way, belatedly.
Yeah, thank you, buddy.
Yeah, was it yesterday, day before?
It was the 21st, whatever that day was.
All right, whatever that was. Okay, profit share day and a birthday. Perfect.
Same day as Gary Killer.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm 2 years older.
He's a couple years older.
Yeah.
Okay. So I've been reading. I get the emails, the daily emails from Jeff Glover. He's
Yep.
got some pretty decent scripts around the buyer compensation. Today's was pretty good. I don't remember what it was, of course, but I'm going to print it out and play with that one for a bit. Yeah, you see those, right?
No, I don't get those.
Oh, okay.
I'd like to.
I
I'd like
will.
to see them. Forward them to me.
Yeah, I'll do that. They come through to, I don't know, Jeff Glover. I just
Yeah.
he
Did you
sends out
did you did you sign up for that?
no, but I've known Jeff for 30 years from Mike Ferry, so I guess he signed me up. Um, yeah, I mean, there's only so much coaching you have time for, right? So
Yeah, you got an
between
offer someday.
between you and Kristen and the market center, and there's enough. That's good. That's good. Um, but it is pretty good. It is pretty good stuff. So I'll forward those as I get them to you. Because they could be very valuable scripts to play with in on recon. So
Good. Good.
um, so what it, so what's your take so far on that subject with mastery and all that's coming?
What do you mean, like with the NAR stuff?
Yeah, I mean, what are you doing any differently with your team and your staff?
We're working on our buyer. I don't know if KCN's finalized your value proposition for buyers. We're honing that. We're working on a new buyer agency agreement. It's kind of one page, and there'll be some different options. I was on a webinar from this other guy. I never really heard about him before, but he's a speaker. He's a coach of some sort, and he had some good ideas. And I'm noodling some different things here, and I'm going to share a couple ideas today. Get your guys' comments on, but here's one thing that I've learned in my 40 years, and all these changes are happening. There's Y2K, and then there's the Gulf oil spill, and then there's computers are coming in and they're going to rule. It's never as bad as people fear.
Never, never. And they need the human connection too.
So I've got 1 o'clock, guys, and we're going to go ahead and start. And I know people will maybe come in a little bit later. Hello, everybody. Denny Grimes, finally back from vacation. Thank you for joining Denny Grimes, Mastery of Real Estate, as we cover mastery level role play. What's mastery level? Well, we like to get down, get our clothes dirty a little bit and get into some granular conversations. And I got people recording. And we use a technique, you guys, question-based, listening enhanced conversations. And I have my co-host and my team. Where are you? There he is. Don's here, but he's in the car, so I'm doing all this by myself. So sorry for the interruptions. Today is July 26, 2024, and I appreciate you being on. This will be recorded and on my YouTube channel, and that's Denny Grimes, the Mastery of Real Estate. If you have not liked that or subscribed and hit the bell, you know what everybody always says, please do so. I'm working at getting to my first 1,000. Now, I have a thought, and I see some familiar faces out there, so we'll get some people in. I want you to think about this. Thought of the day. A seller that does not offer compensation to the buyer's agent becomes a, quote, listed for sale by owner. So noodle that just a little bit, guys. Think about that. Now, I'm not saying we're going to tell them that. I just had the thought today, and I share everything with you. I'm pretty transparent, and I'm always thinking about it. I listen to you guys when we do the recon, etc. You give me ideas. So if a seller basically hires us to list and they're not going to pay a buyer's agent, it's actually like a reverse for sale by owner, because most for sale by owners don't want to pay the listing agent and will pay the buyer's agent, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So do you think some of the conversations we have with unassisted sellers, we can import and use, at least develop the mindset around, is it really good for the seller to not offer compensation? Just planting the seed to let you guys crock pot that. I've got one more I want to share with you, and I wrote this down just like in the last 45 minutes. This is a conversation or a statement you could have with the seller. Offering compensation to the buyer's agent may be a lot cheaper than offering a discount to an unaccompanied buyer. Now, I'll read it again because I think I screwed it up. Offering compensation to a buyer's agent, whether it's 1, 2, 3 potatoes, whatever happens to be, may be a lot cheaper than offering a discount to an unaccompanied buyer.
That's true.
So let me tell you what I'm thinking. If there's no compensation being offered by one of our listings, none, particularly in the early stages of October 17th, how many quote salesmen, how many people are out there trying to sell that particular listing?
Almost zero.
Right. Maybe not even the listing agent if they don't get paid for it, right? And I made a statement on Recon today. That's a daily program that we do, and most of you guys are on it. Is that, and here's one thing I want you to know. This is mastery level, so I'm not preaching here. I want a discussion. If you have a home at the right price, it will sell regardless of compensation. True or not true?
True.
So hear me and see, I've never explained this before, but see if I can do it. If you've got no salespeople out there trying to sell it, for a buyer to become interested in that listing, does it have to somehow stand out in the unaccompanied buyer's mind? Meaning it has to be like a tremendously obvious good deal?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So here's my point. Would that seller then basically have to lower his price, and that's what I'm saying here, offer a discount, lower the price further than 1, 2, or 3% in order to attract an unaccompanied buyer?
Right.
So tell me what you're hearing, because I think this is pretty significant.
In a lot of cases, Danny, like the agent would give him good reasons and logics why the amount that the seller is asking is justifiable, and they would encourage them to move forward. In the meantime, if it's just like a lonely buyer, we work with buyers. They're like, if they're just like, their justification is completely different, and they will just look automatically. They will look to offer lower price.
Okay.
I can tag in on that, Tanner, Denny.
Yeah.
Just thinking, all right, you got an $800,000 listing, and it's not uncommon for, say, a buyer's agent, a buyer to say, hey, let's come in with 10% off, right? That's $80,000. Where the agent may, let's see if I'm explaining this right. So that the discount that the buyer may offer you with an agent, the agent may talk them into a higher price than that initial 10% off. And the seller, they may give them a break on the fees. In other words, if the discount on the agent, paying the agent 3% is cheaper than a buyer coming in, even unassociated, that's trying to take 10% off the sales price. that 10% of the sales price is cheaper than the 3% to the agent. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, and again, I don't think in the marketplace right now, you're getting a lot of 10%, 90% offers. However, I think that's what I'm saying. I think that's what Tanner said. So just to expand this a little bit more, one more level. You have heard me say on this call before, and I believe it into my heart of hearts, okay? A great listing agent is free to a seller. You've heard me say that, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, do you understand what I'm saying, and do you believe that to your core?
100%.
Sure.
I'm know how to negotiate and price it. 100%.
And we can sell our value proposition. Remember slicing the bologna. If they don't want to pay, they want to do it on their own, and they don't want to pay, they're going to pay a buyer's agent but not pay a listing agent fee. Most likely, from a pricing standpoint, they may misprice it by a half a point or point. On the negotiation standpoint, there's several points of negotiation. They may cost themselves some money. Believe me, we are free. Now, if that is true, if we're free to a seller, provide representation to a seller, would it not also be true, and this is what we have to get through our minds and practice the conversations, that a buyer's agent is, when they hire us, even at 3%, wouldn't we be free to them if we're good? And so, not to get bogged down in theory, for me, I have to have kind of a bedrock, kind of an axiom, so to speak, and build everything up from that. Because when you think about a seller not wanting to offer buyer agent compensation, and then do you think the buyer working with an agent is going to offer them the same amount of money as if they were paying compensation? Are they not going to deduct from their asking price what they have to pay the buyer? Are they not going to attempt to put it into the contract? And I'll say this, and we'll go on to role play. I said this, I gave you, and on recon, the analogy I just came up yesterday. Does anybody remember? I'll let you do it. I'll take a break from talking. I gave you a car dealership analogy today. Did anybody catch it?
I did. I wrote it down.
Yeah,
All right. So who would like to give it to me?
I'll go. So let's say you're going to a car dealership, you're going to a Cadillac car dealership. They happen to have one on this corner, one on that corner, right? You go over to the one on the left corner, the ticket price, it says, this is the ticket price. This is the price you get for the car, nothing extra. Okay. On the left corner, they say, hey, listen, this is the price of the car. And you also have to pay an additional charge to pay our salesperson. Which of those dealerships are you likely to buy the car from?
Right. And I thought of one more thing to add to that. That's exactly what I said. The sticker prices are the same.
Right. Sticker prices are the
Good.
exact same.
So why don't we do a little bit of role play with that? So
Denny, I'd like to add something quickly, if I may, just like a 30 seconds. So I recently helped a buyer to purchase a home, and we accepted the price, whatever it is, but on the inspection there was a crack, like on the foundation, which was just like a straight crack. It wasn't something crazy, and the gutters were like kind of not. So the buyer freaked out. He thought that the home is in very bad condition until we really explained him that's not the case. We got involved with certain people. But I'm just thinking, if that buyer did not have an agent, there is no way he would have paid the money that he paid.
right.
And that most likely wouldn't happen with him.
That is a great third-party story, you guys. I mean, if that buyer doesn't have somebody holding their hand, or at least saying it's going to be okay. Hey, I got a guy who knows a guy who, yes, they're gone. So who would like to go first, and what would we like to do, and who would like to get really highly polished today?
All of us.
So I'll tell you what, I'll start with Dr. Lauren. she was a winner of a free coaching call, and I think Joe and her, we worked together on, I think, pricing conversations. Did we not?
Yes.
Do you have that handy? Would you like to go through that and practice that?
Yes. Let me pull that up. Let me go to my recon folder.
Sorry, guys, I'm just pulling in.
Okay,
I'll go mute.
great.
I'll
Top
go
market
mute.
value is not known. Okay, got it. So who am I
So-
talking to?
So was that on the listing side or was that was a listing presentation, right?
Yeah.
All right, so if you're not familiar with the way that I roll, I believe in setting expectations, not putting fingerprints on price, right? So Lauren will be the listing agent. She's at my house. She's giving me a presentation, and now we're going to be talking about price. I'll be the seller. So Lauren, I like what you have to say. Like I said, you came recommended. Where do you think we should price the home?
Well, Denny, we reviewed the past sales, right? We know what has sold. And we also reviewed what is currently active, right? So that's in the present time. And we know the market trends, right? We went over, how the market has been moving and where prices have been. And so based on that information, where do you think you would like to position your home?
Now, what Lauren just did, I have it right here. The three things we know for certain as a professional. Number one, we should know the past history. I mean, there's agents that go on listing presentations that don't know what sold. That would be foolish. So we know past sales. We should know what's active, and we should know what the trend is in the market. Is it moving up or moving down? That's exactly what Lauren said. And so those are the three things that we know. We do not know the future. The future is where it should be positioned. So that's why she asked me the question. So I'm going to be a little bit of a stubborn seller and said, well, that's why you're here.
And I can certainly appreciate that, Denny. That is, part of the reason why I'm here, right? To guide you in this process. What I can say is that as an expert in this field, what I don't know is the future. Okay. We're not going to know the top market value until the property is exposed to the market. So based on what we already do know, where do you feel we should position your property to get the most amount of eyes on it?
Well, I mean, I need some help on that. Now, one of the things she said, if you didn't catch it, is really an axiom in real estate. Top market value right here is not known. It's never known until you expose it to the market. And if you have any naysayers out there, let me ask you this. Have you ever taken a listing, did your market analysis, and it sold for more than you had guessed? Can we remember COVID years? Have you ever done your research and it sold for less than your CMA said? So it is an unknown. Now we might be able to predict ranges, et cetera, et cetera. However, what I'm teaching you, and Lauren's doing a pretty good job of it, is throwing it back into my court. The thing that I think that is a mistake in our industry, and if you're doing this, I'd like to have you think about changing it, is telling them what it's going to sell for. And we'll go back into the role play. Well, you're showing me all these houses out there that are selling in the 720, 750 range. My house is nicer than those. Have you ever heard that?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not going to sell it in that range, Lauren.
Okay, I can certainly appreciate that. What makes you think your house is better than the ones that have sold?
Now, I would think that the way you said that was a little bit.
I know. I know. I know.
Well, like I said, we're doing mastery here, so we're gonna polish that. Who has a better way of asking that question?
I just had a 2 weeks ago similar listing appointment, and she said exactly the same thing. The house was like all marbled and all that, and she would not agree with anything. So I'm like, okay, so what do you have in mind?
or maybe what in particular makes your home better than those that have sold? Maybe that's a softer way to say that. What in particular?
So
make sure
here's
one
what
better.
there could be more than one, but here's what comes to my mind initially. Well, you're probably right. Tell me why you think that.
Mm,
This is like jujitsu style.
right.
Or you can say you may be right. Tell me
Yeah, I
why.
like that. You may be right. You know, tell me why you say that. I like
Okay,
that.
and so, all right, so, well, I do this, I do this, I do that. So I don't think that that's going to be, I think I'm expecting more than that.
Okay. And what are you expecting?
Now, that's the second time she's come back to ask me that, right? Well, again, you know, that's why I've asked you to come. I want you to tell me where I should price it.
And I can certainly appreciate that, Denny. What I can say is that I won't be able to tell you where to price it because there's going to be one of three things that happens when you put it onto the market.
Too soon.
Okay.
Too
I
soon.
know I want to close you first. I can't get over that hump of closing you before doing that.
Here's what I want to show you guys. Can you see the screen behind me?
Yeah.
Yes.
I think this is the simplest way to explain the physics of the market. It's a very simple graph. And this is my listing presentation. And again, and I don't know how many of you have gotten to the point in your career is that if they're interviewing other agents, I don't go into specific pricing with them. Now notice I don't generally do that anyway, because I set expectations, but here's the thing. Well, I'm going to reverse the role. Lauren, you're the seller now. Well, Lauren, let me tell you how the market works. So number one, the price is over here. Red line there is top market value. We don't know where that is to expose it. So I guess let me ask you, what strategy would you want to take? Number one is you say, and here you can put little X's down here where the data points are, and you can put some O's up here where the homes are for sale. Well, you can see where the fish have been biting. So I guess my question is, do you want to position it down here in B, which may cause a faster sale? Maybe we'll have multiple offers. Maybe we'll get more than asking price. However, we might leave money on the table. Or you want to go and take point A, and maybe we'll pull a buyer up above what things have been selling for, just from a conceptual standpoint. Now, notice I didn't say numbers. Do you want to start in point A territory or point B territory?
I mean, if you think we can pull buyers up, I think I will start in territory A.
Okay, now that's it. That is a trap question. Why?
Because you're going to tell me I have to drop my price.
No. Remember, this is question-based listing enhanced. What did she say? If you think you can pull buyers up.
Put it
You
all
gotta
on you.
listen for those little tricky little things, because now they're putting it back onto me. Remember, it's not us, it's what? It's the market. Well, here's the thing. Unless you're in a downward, I'm at a role play right now. Let me ask you this. If you are in a flat or upward moving market, tell me where the risk is for a seller to be aggressive initially.
You said if we're in a downward market?
Oh, if we're in a worst case flat in an upward moving market, what is the risk if a seller wants to take a more aggressive position on the initial asking price? Anybody?
That'll be the price you get because you're not going to go any higher.
Would they price themselves out of the market potentially?
So let me ask it a simpler way.
They would leave money on the table.
Well, if they go to point A, they're going to leave money on the table?
No, sorry, point B.
No, I'm saying what is the risk for a seller to overprice their home in an upward moving market?
In an upward moving market,
the seller is gonna be catch up because prices are going up in a seller's market. On the other hand, if you price below market, you are gonna attract more people, and probably you can be in a bidding competition, and you get more money at the end of the day.
Well, okay, so did you hear what he said? And did you watch him paint himself into a corner by what he said?
Yes.
You're going to get more money at the end of the day. Is that true?
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily.
It could be true, Alberto. It's not always.
Yeah, it could be in a growing market, in a seller market.
Okay, so I think when Gary Keller talks about leverage, leads, listings, leverage, listings are super important. And I'm spending time on this because I want you guys to understand this through and through, the physics of why properties sell and why they don't. And I'm going to make you bulletproof. So I'm going to go back to our, it is a strategy. And there's people out there that swear by it. That you list it low and it becomes like the tryouts for American Idol. All these people come and look at it, all these offers, and it gets bid up, correct?
Mm-hmm.
That's correct.
And I don't disagree with that. However, if a seller wants, again, going back to our little role play, things are selling between 7 and 725, and you want to convince the seller to list at 700, the low end of the range, or 690, so you can get it bid up. What percent of sellers are going to be biting their nails, both fingernails and toenails, and be nervous about pricing their home that low and not do it? Meaning, I'll get back to you, and they're going to list with an agent that's going to put it at 760. So in a perfect world, if we have control over all the sellers, yeah, sure, we should list, and let's just call the seller's house $100 bill. Let's list it for 95 and cause that to be bid up. But the problem is, if they don't buy into that strategy, there's a high probability they're going to list with someone else, because in their mind, it's worth 760. They're not going to list it at 700 because they're afraid it's going to sell at 700. I'm going to stop talking and you tell me what you're hearing.
It's so true, Danny. I had one listing. I lived that myself before I started joining your sessions actually, and I told the seller, we listed 490. We're gonna have a bidding war and this and that. She was not comfortable. We put it in, then the interest rates went up, and everything was stumbling. And she accused me of everything pretty much. I had to take the blame at all times.
So let me go back to the question. What is the risk of a seller overpricing in an upward moving market? Number one. One can make the argument, although I don't subscribe to it, that days on the market will ultimately affect what it sells for. So have you heard people say, teach, claim that the longer you sit a home on the market, the less you're going to get for it because the buyers will think there's something wrong with it? Have you heard that?
Yes.
We tell that too.
I don't know that that's true. I've seen the stats, and here's the reason. What they're doing is, okay, they're measuring time, and they're measuring what percent off asking price they're getting over time. Well, the problem is they're measuring it from the original list price. So therefore, it looks like they got less, but they were starting too high to begin with. One more thing.
Good point.
One more thing. I wish I had yeah, here. If a buyer is new into the market, many times they're not, quote, seasoned. However, when a buyer comes in, it's an upward moving market, kind of the one we had, and things are more expensive. Buyers get a little frustrated as time goes on because they think they can come in and offer 10% less. Well, that's not true. They think they can come in and offer full price. That's not true. It doesn't work. So there is a possibility for a buyer that this is frustration, this is time. Motivated buyers get more frustrated over time when they keep losing out on houses. True?
Mhm.
So when they see your home, now remember, if you list it too high and it's been at that price for a long time and it's at the same price, well, you'll have to wait for the market to come up. However, and write this down, every time there's a price reduction, it becomes a new listing. Now, days on the market don't start again, but a new set of eyeballs look at it. And so when you lower that price down, let's say you've had it on a year and it's been too high, then finally you get motivated and you lower it $50,000. Now you're in the value range. A new buyer that comes into the market is going to look at that and say, hey, it's been on the market a year. Must be something wrong with it. And they offer some stupid offer if they offer at all. However, this buyer who's been in the market for some length of time sees it's been reduced. They act on it. Why? Because the value is there. So does that make sense to you guys?
Yeah.
That's-
I got two thoughts, Denny.
Yep.
Number one, one of the pundits out there, days on the market is acid to your list price, right? We all heard that. Secondly, what I heard from you a long time ago is I don't know that you used the word reposition at the time, but you cannot reposition a listing that you do not have. Right? So
That's great. That's a good one, Doc.
well, it's not mine, it's Denny Grimes.
Oh.
I'm just passing, I'm just stealing, rip off and duplicate. So there is that thing, that attitude. Hey, take the listing, have the conversation with the people that, all right, what happens if we don't get this? One of three things, grab the listing because you can't adjust it if you don't have it. And then the last thing, Denny, is I drew out this little graph down on the back of my desk, and maybe you do this with that sales presentation you had of the market physics, top market value A and B. Do you actually put like okay, here's properties that sold at 725, 720. Do you write like the addresses down, or do you like circle and say, hey, there's 4 homes that have sold below this dash, and there's 3 homes that have sold above the dash? I mean, we could physically present that to a seller, could we not?
Yeah, you could do it, but I don't do addresses. Addresses don't mean anything. But
Or numbers?
I would put an X. And
Yeah,
I'd put
that's what I mean.
650, 700.
Right.
Yes, put the data points on that.
Yeah, you could put a 725 circle, 713 circle, or you could just do X's. Yeah.
Whatever.
Okay.
I mean, it doesn't matter what shape you use, but put the
Are
number.
you putting on there the list price or the sale price?
Well, both, because remember, there's 3 things we know. What's the first thing we know, Lauren?
Past sales.
Past sales. So what would you put on?
Okay, so you can put the past sales on there under B.
Yeah, that would be your quote comps. All right.
Right,
What's the second thing we know?
Actives.
So you would put the asking price. So, for example, generally speaking, unless the market's moving, most of your asking prices would be above the line, right? Most of your sold prices would be below the line. So that would be a great visual for them to see where the fish are.
So my market's a little bit different. Oftentimes we see homes listed, and it probably because we take advantage of that, under market value and drive the price up. But a lot of times we'll see homes listed at 999 and they go for 1.2, they go for 1.1. And so my thing is, if I were to incorporate this into my listing presentation and I see, okay, the sold price is 1.1, but the list price was 899 or something like that, how would I talk about that with the seller? Is my question coming across? Make sense?
Well, I don't have the right graph, but give me a second.
It also would depend on the market at that point, Lauren, like, you know.
I mean, that's been my market for the past like 3 years. Like prices are like 899, sells for 1.2, listed at
Well,
1.
this is what I would do.
Yeah.
All right, so let's just assume this is the graph, forget about that. I would say this is where the seller started. That's what it
Yeah.
sold for.
I like that. I like that. Yep. Got it.
So put the price point where it started. It started at 990. It sold for 1.2.
Love it.
So you would graph it out. Where did they throw the hook and where did the fish bite? Where did it get bid up to? And that would give you good evidence for that philosophy. Now,
Right, I love that.
I know people do that, and I don't want to get all bogged down in the methodology, and because it works. However, I would love to ask an agent, did you really think it was worth 990 and it sold for 1.2?
And could it
I
have
would not
sold
say
for
it's the majority.
1.3, Denny?
Say that, James?
Could it have sold for 1.3? How do you know you didn't leave money on the table by pricing it too low? You know, if you price it high and come down, you've eliminated everything above that price.
Yes, and here's my, all right, great point. Here is my hook with a seller that wants more, okay? So let's go back to the original graph. This is the buyer that's frustrated, right? And we come on the market and using James' example, let's say 1.3, it's here. Well, that buyer has lost out on 3 houses. And they finally say, okay, let's just buy a house. We got to get moved. So both strategies are strategies. I mean, in football, for most teams, maybe not the Cardinals, the Arizona Cardinals.
Easy.
Okay. It's run the ball or pass the ball are both workable strategies.
Yeah.
So I don't care which strategy you use, the axioms of real estate will be the same. So let me summarize. The dangers of taking an overpriced listing in an upward moving market are minimal. One of them is some buyers may think, okay, there's something wrong with days on the market. I disagree that days on the market are acid, because if you take a home that's been on the market a year, 10 years, and you cut the price in half, will it sell, or will people say, no, there must be something wrong with it?
Yes,
It'll sell.
It'll sell.
It'll sell.
Number 2, the risk is, write this down, there's market risk. Something may change. I don't think there's anybody on this call besides me and Alberto that's old enough to remember 9/11. Did the market kind of get wonky after 9/11? If the assassin would have been more successful 2 weeks ago, may have caused a disruption in the market. So there could be something that changes the momentum of the market. So if they're fishing without bait, something may happen. So those are the 2 biggest risks. So my question is, going back to what James said, or no, what Don was talking about, if a seller thinks their home is worth more, why not give them the benefit of the doubt? So Lauren, let's finish this role play. And basically you're saying that you're showing me homes that are sold in the 720 range. I'm going to press you. Well, where do you think we should be? Now I have done some soul searching on this, you guys. And I've got something new to add. So watch, so let's say that you're pressing me on a price. I'm going to ask you this. Lauren, have you made the decision to hire me to get your home sold?
Yes.
All right, knuckle bump. Do you mind if I move my chair on your side of the table and have a conversation with you about strategic positioning?
Come on over.
Now, you've never heard me do that exactly. Meaning, if they are pushing me on a number, I will say, listen, have you? And if they say no, I haven't made the decision to hire you yet. It depends on the number. Well, then if you hadn't made that decision, I mean, what difference does it make what my number is?
Mm,
Are you gonna hire the agent that comes in with a higher number?
yes.
Well, let's just start at 10 million. You okay with that?
Go to the ridiculous. I mean, no, not 10 million.
Well, evidently, if you're gonna go with the highest bidder, you're going to the worst possible agent you could hire because they're lying to get your business. Does that make sense to you?
They are buying your listing.
So we can go in a different direction, but that was
Like
what
that.
that was what we worked on the other day, and you're getting it. So if you don't feel like you're comfortable, we can do something else around pricing if you want, or we can do whatever you want. This is your time. We have 20 minutes.
I mean, I found that to be helpful. So if someone else has something to go over, I like that idea.
Denny, just to kind of put a ball on that, Tim Wood, who was my one-on-one coach prior to KW, rest in peace. He said a long time ago, Don, the rats can be eating the cockroaches. And if the house is priced right, it's going to sell. I still say that when I get into these conversations with people saying, meaning it's just another way to say it's price. The rats can be eating the cockroaches, but if it's priced right, it's going to go.
I use that all the time too, Don. It's awesome.
That must be an Arizona thing.
Yeah, I was like, I haven't heard that one before.
Well, Tim Wood is out of Big Bear, so maybe it came from Big Bear. Who knows?
I always say, hey, listen, you can sell a double wide in Afghanistan if it's priced right. All right, what's next? What's next?
And if we could, I haven't faced it yet, but practice this potential scenario with the new thing, where I'm just like a little bit confused how we can. So this whole buyer compensation thing, how to, because it's basically there, so we have to explain it, and
Okay.
I'm not sure if I make it too complicated to myself, but yeah, I just.
Well, what's all right? Let's do it. Come on, give me the objection.
Okay, Danny. So you're saying that I don't have to, pay for the buyer's agent?
You're the seller, right?
Yes, I'm the seller.
Are we going back to the recon thing we did today where you're talking to your existing seller?
No, this is like different. So like we're at the listing appointment. I haven't
Okay.
done the appointment yet with the new, with the new thing. So
Okay, no. You don't have to.
okay, so and you will you'll be able to get me the price and sell my home for the fee that you asked me for. That will cover pretty much everything.
You asked me if I could get your price.
Yes, I mean, you would recommend it. Obviously, you got a lot of experience and strong marketing.
Well, did I recommend a price?
No.
Okay. I hope you're not recommending a price, so. But if you're gonna ask me, hey, well, see, whenever they say, so you say you can, don't even listen to anything else. I want bells and whistles to go off in your brain because now they're pinning it on you. So you're saying you can have the Fed reduce rates to 4%. No, I'm not saying that at all. You see, who has the control over the house selling, you guys?
The buyer, or I guess the seller.
Seller does. Why?
Yeah.
They control access, they control the price, and they could decide to cook fish every time you go to show it. I mean, they control everything, the condition. So never get into when they start saying, so you can say, so let's go back to role play. No, you do not have to compensate. Tanner, listen, you've never had to.
I don't know. Is that what it is?
Sellers have never had to agree to pay a buyer's agent a commission. You know why they did?
There we go.
Tanner, do you know why they did?
No, I'm not sure.
Because it was a good business decision.
How come?
Well, what business are you in?
Okay, I have like a coffee shop.
Okay, and do you have people that work there?
Yeah,
Okay, and do you pay them to work there?
of course.
Okay, well, if you did not pay them and you wanted them to work, do you think your sales would go down?
Obviously.
So you make a business decision to pay people to help you get what you want.
You're unbelievable, man.
I know, right? That was pretty good. That was pretty good.
It's very logical. Now notice, and we worked on this a little bit role play. I remember Tim he was trying to explain the complexity of an NAR antitrust thing. Like, oh my gosh, don't do that. No, Tanner, you don't have to pay a fee. Now my fee is my fee is $3. So have you made the decision to move forward with me?
Yep.
All right, so knuckle bump. Now, do you mind if I share with you what's going to happen next? Now, what's different about this presentation, guys? Nothing so far, right?
Mm-mm.
It's the same conversation. Let's say, going back to our market analysis, seller wants 700,000, and you think it should be worth 6. Don, you know this, right? Okay, well, hey, look, if we list at 7, are you ready to move forward? Yes, knuckle bump.
Yeah.
Mind if I tell you what happens next? What do? We go through the 1 of 3 outcomes. Now I'm going to do the same thing. So Tanner, let me ask, so now that we've agreed to work together and your total fee is 3%, do you mind if I share some information with you? I'm going to go with the one of 3 outcomes. And then one more thing we have to add. What is it, you guys? It's this. Offering a compensation to the buyer's agent may be a lot cheaper than offering a discount to the unaccompanied buyer. Well, let me put it in your terms. If you didn't have to pay people to sell your coffee, you could sell your coffee for less, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
But could you get anybody to sell any coffee for you?
No, that's not possible.
So you're paying someone, but you're making more. So here's the issue. Imagine you're driving down the street. I'm going to use Lauren's example. There's 2 Cadillac dealerships. One, basically you go and you see the sticker price. It's $70,000, and that includes everything. And then another dealership across the street, they also have Cadillacs. It's $70,000 with an asterisk. Now you have to pay the sales fee, sales commission on top of it. Who's going to sell more cars?
The other one.
It includes
Left.
One
Well, that
price
includes
fits all.
everything.
Includes everything. Includes everything.
So is that difficult?
No,
Am I going to take the listing at 3 bananas for me and 0 for the other? Yep, I'm going to take the listing if he wants 7, and I think it's worth 6 because that's there. So what, Don, you said this. It's better to have the listing and work them into reality than to walk away.
I'm not sure if you have it in your MLS, but in our MLS, we also have this little extra box where it says, if I find a buyer on my own that does not, is not represented, then I would charge the seller extra percentage, something like that, of the fee. See, like we agree for 3%, like 3 apples. But if a buyer comes across that does not have, any agent, and we end up going through the deal together, and I help the whole thing, then I would ask the seller apparently to get extra compensation for that service, the extra service. To me, that's too much. I don't know.
Watch this. I do it for less. No, I do it for less. On my listing agreements like this, I have a flexible fee. So it's $3. Let's say it's $6, and on the traditional code broke, or 5.5 or 5, depending on the price range. However, Tanner, if you find a buyer or a buyer finds you, I'll handle the whole transaction for 2 bananas or $2. You think a seller's going to like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now,
I'm not sure
so
why they added the extra thing, Danny. Do you have it in your MLS? That extra,
it's a variable, well, I don't know if they call it a variable rate commission, but, and I've had that happen. Now, why would I do that? Well, number one is I'm pulling in another buyer. What's the probability that buyer has maybe another property they may want to sell? What's the
Good.
probability Joe Girard, who wrote the greatest salesman on earth, everybody knows 250 people. What's the possibility if I do my job right, I'm getting that buyer into my database and I'm starting to work that. Now I'm going to leverage that. It is a win-win-win for me. So I'm just throwing it out there. If why wouldn't you incentivize them and give them and let them put, and I say, look, you can put the other 4% in your pocket. But sellers love that. Any questions on that? Kristen does the same thing. She has a variable rate fee. I forget exactly how she uses it, but
4.5, but it doesn't mean that you can't say, hey, you know what? You just agreed to hire me for 3%. You bring the buyer or I bring the buyer. It's only three bananas and one chicken.
yeah, but mine, I didn't say if I brought the buyer. I said
I got it. If they did.
If they you don't want to say if they find a buyer. If you find a buyer or the buyer finds you. They can be walking their dog, right? I mean, the market we were in COVID,
right.
Buyers were knocking on doors looking for listings.
So you are rewarding the seller by giving them a little break on the 3% because they brought the buyer to you.
That's right.
But if you bring the buyer, obviously you can
And
back something in.
you can have a sliding scale on that or not.
Right.
I mean, whatever.
Right.
So Tanner, all right. So give that to somebody else. You're see, so you're the listing agent, give it to somebody else. Who wants it? Do I have to pay a fee? Let's see how somebody else handles it.
I'll do that.
All right.
Unless someone else wants to go, but I can do it.
Go, Tanner.
all right, Lauren. So, Lauren, like that. I see, I don't have to pay the buyer's fee anymore. I kind of like this.
Well, Tanner, can I tell you something? You've never had to pay the buyer's fee.
I just didn't like the word tell.
Oh, can I
Share?
Can I share something with you? I like that. Okay. Okay, Tanner, can I share something with you?
Yeah.
You've never had to pay the buyer's commission. Do you want to know why people were traditionally doing that in the past?
Not really.
You don't know why, or you don't want to know why?
No, this is the first time I'm selling, so I'm not quite sure exactly what it is.
Okay. Right. Well, here's the thing, Tanner, right? Have you bought a car before in the past?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's say you were purchasing a vehicle and you went to one car dealership and it had the car on sale for $70,000. You went to the next dealership, same car, $70,000, right? But what if that second car dealership, you went there, you were excited about purchasing the car, but then you realized there was an additional fee that you had to pay for the salesperson? Would you stay there and buy that car, or would you go back to the first dealership and get everything for $70,000?
Yeah, probably I'll go back to the first one.
Yeah. So what do you think the buyers are going to do when they look at your property and see that they have to pay an additional fee on top of the asking price?
So hang on. I mean, that's beautiful. Now here, if you're meeting with them, and this is what somebody was saying on, I think it was on Recon, but anyway, can you not show them? This is the list. What do we know? We know what's for sale. Do you not know what compensation those other people are offering?
Yeah.
Can you not say, well, your neighbor is the car lot that's all inclusive? That you want to compete against them, and now there's this quote. Oh, by the way, there's this extra fee.
Right.
See how strong that is?
Yeah. All inclusive.
Not that it's a big deal, Lauren. The only thing that I said that would tie that together is why they do that. Because it's a good business decision.
Oh, right. That's what yeah.
To help them get what they want.
And you can always, all right, so Don, I'm coming to you. If you ask me, what do I do? I'm in a lawn care business.
You're in the lawn care business?
Yeah, so you listen, one of the most powerful things you can do is turn it around. Well, what do you do for a living? I'm in the lawn care business, Don.
Oh, you are? Okay, and do you mow the lawn yourself, Danny, or do you have employees?
I have employees.
Cool. And you pay them, I would assume.
Yeah, I do.
Okay. Would your business be as good if could you cover as many lawns if you didn't have as many employees?
No.
And if you didn't pay them, would you have those employees?
See, I think that's a strong. Well, why don't you stop paying them? Why do
Say
you
that
pay-
again.
So,
What would happen if you stopped paying them?
why do you get them to work for free, or why do you even pay your employees? I mean, that's the question. Why do you pay them?
Yeah.
Because it's a good business decision. That's where you want them to go.
Because it helps you cover more lawns. You
Much
get
money
more
could you
business.
make if you weren't paying them.
Yeah.
So my question is, Mr. Seller, do you want to make a good business decision? Hey, quiet people, come on, we got
If
16.
they come back at you like, okay, that's why I'm paying you the 3 apples, so you could do it. You could find me that buyer and get it done. That's why I'm paying you. You know, I don't have problem with that.
I got that. So you're willing to pay me 3% to find the buyer, et cetera, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so let me ask you this. I don't know, are you married?
Yes, I am.
Poor thing. Okay, so I'm kidding. If you lost, let's say she had an expensive, the ring was like her grandmother's ring, and it was, maybe only $20,000, but still the sentimental value was awesome. And you dropped it on outside. Very important that you get it. Now, again, we're trying to find it in maybe a golf course. You're playing golf, you dropped it. Would you want me looking for it by myself, or would you want to have would it be worth it to you to have a lot of people helping me find the ring?
Why is Tanner wearing the ring in the first place?
It's in his belly button. Sorry. So you see what I'm doing? I mean, I'm making a story. I'm making so yes, okay, but I'm one person. We have how many agents you have there in Scottsdale, guys?
40,000 in Phoenix.
So you want 40,000 people looking for the ring, Tanner?
Or one.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you're laughing, but wouldn't that be a fair question?
That's
Yeah.
True. Wouldn't you be willing to pay one of those 40,000 people to find that valuable ring versus depending on me to be out there every day and not have success?
Here's the other line. Well, here I don't want any buyer for your home, Tanner. I want more than one. Can you see how that might put money in your pocket?
Okay.
So that's kind of like saying, literally speaking, if the seller told you, well, hey, look, Don, I want you're my listing agent. If you bring a buyer, I'm only going to pay you 3%. Why argue with him? Okay. No problem. Now, what's the probability we're going to bring a buyer for that seller?
0.
And
It's not zero, but it's, hey,
It's-
well, Denny, I understand. I may bring you a buyer, but with 40,000 agents out there looking for that ring on the golf course, there's a higher probability we're going to find you somebody. We're going to find that ring and get you the money you want.
yeah, but
Isn't that a
I'm
better
saying
decision?
you're willing to pay the other buyer, you're willing to pay another agent, let's say $2. But if I sell it, you don't want to pay me anything to the buyer side. I just get my 3%, right? So have you had a seller try to do that? Well, if you sell it yourself, I want you to give me a discount. I said, okay, well, all right, fine. If I sell it, I won't charge you a buyer's fee. Now, again, I'm not talking about Keller Williams. I'm not talking about somebody from my team. However, if I sell it, now what's the probability I'm gonna bring a buyer for that?
Small,
Zero.
Yeah, smaller.
Paquito.
So what'd you hear today that was worth your time, guys?
A lot.
Huh. Yeah, couple pages.
Yeah,
I'll start. You know, never really thought about it. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, you bring somebody to the table that wants to buy your home. You know what? I'll do it for even less than 3%. You pocket the 4%. You incentivize them to go out and find a buyer for you who you are going to put in your database, and then it could be 10 sales down the road. Incentivize that seller to go to work.
well, I don't really want them to compete with me, but it does give them some sign of hope. But don't use that. Use the other side of that, Don. If you find a buyer or what, the buyer finds you.
Right? Or the buyer finds you.
Because they're gonna think, well, I don't know how to sell real estate, but people live in gated communities. They're at the clubhouse, or who knows? They talk to people. They're playing pinochle with somebody. All right. What else did you guys hear today worthwhile?
I loved if you hire employees, it's a good business decision. So having someone working for you is a good business decision. It's awesome.
Right. I love that. Good.
Mhm.
And what's so funny? I mean, you really have a belly button ring, don't you?
Not to mention the thing. Amazing, amazing. Thank you.
I like the graph idea with showing the list price and the sales price. That's gonna help me
Yep.
in my market for sure. And I also liked asking, have we agreed to work together? And if not, then why does my price point really matter?
Yeah, if they agree to work with you, move your chair around their side, and then I would still not say, well, I think it's going to sell for this. I would say,
Right.
Here's the range. Here's this house over here with the pink shutters. They're asking 720. Where do you think we should position based on that? Help them. It's not like you don't want to help them. You're just not going to give your information away. I'll take one more aha. Even if you're blindsided, if you're real people, I don't have your camera on. Did anybody hear something that was good for you today?
The analogy of the cards. I mean, that you had a Cadillac for 70,000, the other one for 70,000, and this one, everything is included on this one. If you buy it, you have to pay more.
I think, Lauren, you did I think it's a good analogy. You did a really good job.
Yeah, it's a wonderful analogy.
I think it's good. All right, guys. Well, I appreciate it. It's happy hour somewhere, I'm sure. Knuckle bumps to Don. He's had to carry the torch for me for the last 3 weeks on Mastery. So there'll be a special role play mansion for you in heaven. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Don.
All right,
Thank
see
you
you
for your
guys.
support.
Happy birthday, Denny.
Denny, it's your birthday?
It was a couple days ago.
Oh, happy birthday, Den.
Yeah.
Happy birthday.